We're exploring with sisters. This video will explain all about the Havila Voyage and show you the ins and outs around the boat. We started in Bergen and went up to Kirkenes, and then also the return trip back to Bergen for the full 12-day voyage. Our trip was in August of 2024. Now, before you actually board the boat in Bergen, you have to go through a long waiting line and get your luggage checked in. Once you're checked in, you take the escalator up, and this is where you're going to sign up for your dining times for your lunch and your dinner throughout your voyage. For breakfast, it's an open schedule, so no need to sign up for a certain time. Once you've gone through this process, you can go ahead and board the boat. Our rooms were not quite ready when we boarded, so we had about a 45-minute to an hour wait. Now, during this wait, you could go up to deck 6 to the cafe, or you could inquire about their drinking packages. Our voyage was on the Havila Pollux boat. It is just 1 year old, so of course it is very pristine and clean. When you enter the boat, you'll be on deck 4, and this is where most of the rooms are. They're spread between deck 4 and 5, and then the suites are on the upper floors. There's a beautiful atrium with a glass elevator, and the customer service desk is also located on deck 4. The staff was very friendly, and the desk is open 24/7 in case you have any questions or need extra towels. There's also a luggage storage room just to the right of the desk for the day of departure. I thought it was really helpful to hear the announcements in our room throughout the trip. They would announce when something historical was coming up that we might want to view, or a special view that they thought we wanted to capture. Our cabin was located on deck 4, and we had the Seaside Superior Twin category room. Very comfortable, about the size of a typical hotel room. It had really ample storage, closets and drawers, lots of hooks on the wall, and there was a small mini refrigerator in the cabinetry. The TV displayed different information about the voyage and the excursions. The beds we found were very comfortable. The lighting was excellent. We definitely enjoyed having a window in our room, and we did use the desk quite a bit for our laptop and working on our YouTubes. Now, the bathroom was small, as you would expect on any ship, but it worked well for our needs. There was a place for the towels, a place for your items on the counter, and you also had your shampoos and soaps in the shower and at the sink. Housekeeping came every 3 days along our journey and provided us with fresh towels. The air conditioner worked excellent in our room, and we were able to keep it at a temperature that we were comfortable with. The staff was friendly enough to show us one of the junior suites upstairs. This suite was so spacious. It had a separate seating area. Again, the storage was similar to the storage in our room, but the layout of the room was again much more spacious. It had a separate sleeping area, but the big plus was it had a huge balcony with chairs. I think I would have lived out here on this cruise. It was so inviting. There are a couple other suites that are even larger than this one. There's the panoramic view cabin that has floor-to-ceiling windows, and is located on the bow of the ship. You have a small desk that divides the sleeping area from the sitting area. A large window by the bed to look out at the views. In addition to the extra square footage, you also get some Havila swag. You get some products that are branded that you can keep. All the rooms, regardless of how fancy they are, come with a TV, a wardrobe, Wi-Fi, USB ports, and of course the housekeeping services. The bathroom was a little bit nicer than in our room. The big plus in their bathroom is that they had a door on their shower that prevented the water from coming onto the floor. This was a very nice suite, and if your budget allows it, I think it would be worth the investment. This ship can be used for port-to-port transportation as well as overnight. If you need to take a trip just from one port to the next or just for a short time, you can stay in the room that's a port-to-port lounge. This is located on the deck 4. It does not include any food packages, so you will have to purchase that. On deck 4, I thought it was really helpful to have the TV monitors that showed us the next port of call and the arrival time and departure time from each one. The signage throughout the ship was very well done. I found it easy to navigate through the different levels, but I'm going to show you one level at a time so you get a full tour of this ship. You've already seen a lot of what was on deck 4, but also they had a self-service laundry facility that we did use since we were on the voyage for 12 days. There was no cost to use the equipment, and they also supplied all the detergent. Come along and we'll show you what's on deck 5. You can take these nice stairs that are centrally located, or of course the elevator that has the glass windows into the atrium. Deck 5 is very similar in layout to Deck 4, with rooms on each side of the atrium. Of course, the diagram at each floor shows you what's located on this deck. This one had additional seating on each side of the atrium with big windows to enjoy the views. There were plenty of wall outlets along the windows, which was very convenient for me and my laptop. The atrium area on each deck was very open. You could look down each floor, and then at the top there was a skylight, so it had a lot of natural light coming in. As an interior designer, I appreciate the details like the lighting in the atrium, the various carpet patterns, the different types of seating that they had to select from. Overall, it was a very pleasant and inviting atmosphere. One thing I noticed spending 12 days on this ship is that it was very quiet. You didn't hear the elevator running, you didn't hear a lot of voices from one deck level to another. I did, however, notice the smells and the scents from the kitchen, but it wasn't overwhelming, but it was just something that I did notice. We're going to the deck 6 now, which is mainly where the dining locations are and some wonderful seating areas. We found ourselves spending most of our time on deck 6. Had wonderful seating arrangements, privacy that you could find a corner and sit. It also had nice work tables that had built-in power outlets. They had free coffee and tea and a water dispenser for your water containers. And their small gift shop was also located on this deck level. I was really impressed with the variety of things that they offered at the store. They had Norwegian themed clothing and shoes and food items and lots of small gifts. They had Havila branded clothing and beautiful wool sweaters, t-shirts, hats, gloves, and anything you may need that you may have forgotten at home. They also had games and some items for children and some toiletries that you may need. Outside of the store was an incredibly large lounge area with a variety of seating arrangements, and there was a mirror image of this on the opposite side. Each corner had a fireplace going, again, large windows. It really was relaxing. Throughout our 12-day journey, we never saw this area very crowded. There was always a quiet place that you could find to sit and read a book or play some games. Just outside this lounge area, there was a door that gave you access to an open deck that was open most of the time, and we would definitely frequent this, especially when there were great views to capture and the weather was permitting. Also on deck 6, there was some booth seating. They had a lending library. There was a small isolated area for little ones. It had some small furniture and some toys and a place for them just to play. As you walk back towards the atrium area of this deck, you'll pass a large conference room. In this conference room, they would hold very informational meetings about the various excursions and things that were going on board. Just past the store was a really nice table that had built-in power outlets and great views. I found this a wonderful place to set up my laptop. It was located next to the excursions desk. This area of the deck also had your water and your coffee dispensers and your water fillers. Throughout the day, there was someone at the excursions desk so you could find out more information and to sign up for the various excursions that are offered every day. They also made announcements letting people know if there were openings on those excursions. Make sure you check out the model ship on this deck as well. There's a special dining room that's available by reservation only, also on this deck. The cost of this meal is not included and will be charged extra. I am not necessarily a foodie, so I did not try this dining room, but the reviews that I've heard is that it was an excellent dining experience. Another thing I noticed on this ship is they do not use any disposable products. And this again is to be more sustainable. They also have no buffets, and this is to reduce the amount of waste. So you can order as much as you'd like from the menus, but again, they are in small portions. Another thing that's different about Havila is that they do not require any tipping for their housekeeping or their staff. All the tipping is already included in the price. You'll see a small sign on deck 6 that has the history of Havila. It is still family owned since the 1950s. And it offers the traditional coastal cruise that some of the larger ships are unable to do. The area that we did enjoy and had a lot of meals at was actually the cafe that was on deck 6. They had limited offerings that were included in the cost of our voyage and other items that were an additional cost and would be charged to your account. They had things such as hamburgers, pizza, salads, fish and chips. They did have free coffee and tea and water. And this is where you could also get desserts, fruit, snacks, a variety of different drinks. They were open for breakfast and lunch and dinner, but did have limited hours. I found it a little complicated to understand what items were included in our package and which ones were not, so we asked a lot of questions. If the item on the menu has a coffee cup symbol next to it, that means it is included in your package. If it does not, that means it is a chargeable item that will be added to your account. There is a cost for all drinks outside of the coffee, tea, and water. They did have beverage packages that you could purchase when you boarded the ship. Both alcoholic and non-alcoholic packages were available with different quantities on each. Make sure you ask all your questions ahead of time so there's no surprises in the end. The main dining room is also on level 6. This is where you're going to have all your major meals every day. Breakfast is open, so you don't need a specific time to sign up, but you will have a window to sit down and have your lunch and your dinner. For breakfast, they had a menu where you could order some hot items such as eggs and sausage and pancakes. And then they had a bar area that had individual servings of cold items, including fruits, yogurts, cereals, meats, breads, things of that nature. With the exception of drinks, everything that you order in this dining room is included in your Havila package. The feedback that I got was that this cruise was very different from other cruises that are typical in other parts of the world. It didn't have the large buffets and the endless dining opportunities open throughout the cruise. The menus are based on the flavors of the area that you're currently in. In other words, they have the polar region, the Arctic region, and the food is reflective of that area. The menu changed about every 3 days throughout the voyage. Enough about food, let's go explore and show you what's on Deck 7. Deck 7 had 2 small workout rooms. The first one was a strength training workout room. It had some free weights and some equipment with big windows looking out at the deck. On the same level of the deck, but on the opposite side, there was another exercise room, and this one focused on the cardio portion of your workout. While you're looking at pictures of the workout rooms, I wanted to share a little bit more about Havila. The Pollux is only 1 year old. We actually celebrated the boat's birthday on our cruise. There's 179 cabins. It is battery powered and natural gas, which allows it to be silent during the fjords. Truly is a magical experience when you don't hear the engines running and you become one with nature. They can go up to 4 hours at a time sailing with 0 emissions. And the charging currents come from a hydropower when they're at the quay. This company is into building ships that are sustainable and support a peaceful and silent way of sailing. The rest of this deck consisted of the junior suites and the really nice plush rooms. Now on the 8th deck, one half of the boat was where the captain and his crew had their rooms and where they navigated. The other part had some open decks that were specified for smoking areas. The Havila Pollux boat had saunas that were separated for both men and women. When you walk down this hall, you can access the sauna from the interior, but they also had access points from the outside decks that lead to the hot tubs as well. The signage was excellent. Now we're going to go up to the very top deck, which is Deck 9. Deck 9 again has a nice diagram as you exit the elevators, and it shows you what's on the floor. You can go either side of the stairs and you'll be entering the same huge lounge area where the bar is located. This area on the top deck was probably the most popular for most of the passengers on the ship. It had such large viewing windows. It had the skylight full of natural light. It also had access to walk around the front of the boat outside on the walkway. I loved how the seating was on different levels, so everyone had a great view of the outdoors. This area again had plenty of wall outlets for your laptops. It had seating that could be moved. The tables and the benches, of course, were stationary. We found it very comfortable and a nice place to just sit and relax, especially when the weather was a little windy or too cool to sit outside. There was also a map on the TV on the wall. You could always tell exactly where the boat was and where you were going. The bar opened every afternoon and stayed open pretty late into the evening. The bartender could make about anything you wanted. They had drinks of the day, they had some beers on tap and also available in bottles. There were no food items available on this level. Inside the elevator was a wonderful diagram that showed you what was on each floor. Now we're going to take a look at the outside of the boat. I love the size of the Havila Pollux. It wasn't huge, but it had enough space to spread out and wasn't crowded. There were so many different places you could go outside on the decks on a beautiful day. The chairs were plentiful. They had tables you could move around. It really was just perfect. We saw many people just doing laps and getting in their steps. We sat and looked at the beautiful scenery that was ever changing throughout our voyage. The decks were easy to walk on and were not slippery, which was very nice. From the top deck, you could look down onto deck 8 and see the hot tubs. There was also a separate bar and seating area here. Unfortunately, on our voyage, it was only open for one evening, and that was for a sampling of some food that they were offering. I suppose that this area would be open more had the weather been warmer and not as windy. Cindy and I had fun exploring the boat, checking out every deck and what it had to offer. We're on deck 8 now, and we're exploring to see where we can access the saunas. We found our saunas and realized that they are open throughout the day and they do close at 9 o'clock in the evening. There was one shared sauna, very nice accommodations. There was a large locker room and shower facility as well. And the men's sauna was on the opposite side of the deck. As I showed you earlier, this level is where the hot tubs or the jacuzzis are located. There's 2 of those, and they were never crowded either. We encourage your feedback, and we hope you've enjoyed this video and that it has given you a peace of mind of what to find on board once you've decided to use Havila Voyages. After spending 11 nights and 12 days, visiting 34 different ports during the day and night, and enjoying some of their excursions, I can personally say that this was a wonderful cruise and one that I would take again. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and you can see all about the Havila excursions throughout our journey that might help you when you're planning your trip.